threat to democracy in Brazil is a result of the enormous achievements of the Workers' Party.
Brazil has an election on October 7th, and this is a very big election for a number of reasons. This one is a really unusual election because, first of all, the most popular candidate, the former President Lula da Silva, is in jail, and he would have won the election by all the polls if he had been allowed to run.
In the first decade of the 21st century, they reduced poverty, they had a vibrant economy, they extended their relationship with other countries in Latin America.
The Workers' Party was first elected to the presidency with Lula in 2002, and then he was re-elected, and then he could only serve 2 consecutive terms. And so in 2010, one of his ministers, Dilma Rousseff, ran, and she won, and then she won again in 2014. Now that period was a very successful period for social and economic progress in Brazil. And then in 2015, there was a recession, and the right-wing opposition parties to Dilma, who was in office, took advantage of that, and they impeached her. They didn't really have a crime. They accused her of a kind of an accounting manipulation, which all previous presidents had done, and governors too. It was a power grab, but then they still had the problem that Lula could run for president. So with a very politicized judiciary, they went after Lula, and he was convicted of taking a bribe, which was in the form of repairs to an apartment, basically. And they never showed that he owned or stayed in the apartment or rented it, or that it was his in any legal way. They didn't have any material evidence either.
We have to do something about this. But we at the same time understand that this is not only just happening in Brazil, it's being undermined in other countries in the region as well. The question about what has happened to all of these governments in the region to introduce policies that were more friendly to poor people and friendly to indigenous people. What is happening to those particular countries, and certainly those leaders who initiated those really progressive changes.
The leading candidate is this congressman, Jair Bolsonaro. In the press, they compare him to Trump, but to be honest, that's actually unfair to Trump because he is so extremist and so openly racist and misogynist.
Well, that's the nightmare. Basically, what he represents is the same kind of ideology of Donald Trump. He's extremely to the right. He certainly has attacked not only African religions, he's also called for the intervention of the military as well.
You have to remember this country is a relatively new democracy. It's only 30-something years since the dictatorship.
Progressives have to be concerned not only what is happening here in the United States, but also concerned about those who are progressive in other countries in Latin America as well. And certainly Brazil is one, those progressive forces